I want to step back and to the theme of altruistic capital and the word altruism, which actually is not an old word. It was actually invented in the 19th century. And it comes from the Latin altrui, which means to this other. And you see the Italian altrui, somebody else. So altruism in this sense is about the self giving to the other. There's an other and there's a somebody else. And you can see this if you see the introduction of the word altruism. This is from Google, which has digitized all of the books and all of the media and newspapers. So when did altruism when did the word start? It's a scientifically minded word, right? To be able to come in. It comes in around 1860. It's the beginning of its introduction, and it starts to rise. And you can see the rise now, which has been very large in the demand for social impact that's occurring. Now, what is happening at the same time during this time of history? Without this, there would have been no altruism in this type of way, which is the beginning of individualism, right? So the late 1700s was also the French Revolution and the idea of the individual arising and liberty and independence. And you can see individualism starts earlier than altruism and continues to rise along with altruism. Altruism was almost like a response. And you can see, in 1980, there's a bit of a blip in the sense of greed is good. But the key thing is, the individualism that was arising originally was about individual flourishing, right? It wasn't necessarily about a consumerist, atomistic idea of the individual, but instead, because that became what individualism sort of became, and became kind of like the stereotypical Homo economicus, we then needed to, in some way, create an altruism that was about the other. And that's why when you see these two, I don't want you to see them as a struggle of who's going to win, because it's not that, right? If you think about when you were really, really in love. It wasn't really clear where you ended and the other person started, right? That sense of just flow is actually what's truly possible for us. Individual flourishing and development and our contribution and connection to others can actually be part of one and the same thing. That's why I love this quote by one of my favorite poets, Khalil Gibran, who says, "What is it to work with love? It is to weave the cloth with threads drawn from your heart, even as if your beloved were to wear that cloth." Work is love made visible. Imagine if we were able to love and work in this way, to love the work we were doing, to feel the individual flourishing and sense of purpose in the work that we're doing, and the connection to those around us, not as others who are othered, but really as part of us, to make work as love made visible. That's the work that we're doing at the Altruistic Capital Lab, where we have the researchers and the companies, and all we're trying to do is to generate knowledge together, to find ways to apply it. I love events like this because I'm so interested in how you may go, and even the little things that may have sparked your interest, what might happen, what parts you apply. And as people apply that, we learn more and we develop more science, and we continue to build this spiral.